Mina Kimes had Matt Miller on, and Matt Miller threw out something that I thought about it, and I went, oh, please don't let that happen. And I don't hate this team, actually. I like them. They're likable. The Bengals cannot figure this out with T. Higgins. They're going to franchise tag him. They haven't even talked since he requested a trade. Like, neither side has talked to each other. They're in this frozen, loveless marriage where they refuse to divorce. I know I have family in these relationships.
It's very awkward.
It's so awkward. Yep. Everybody knows it, but nobody can say it out loud. And they probably bring T. Higgins back for one more year on the tag because, like, why not? If they do have to move off him, though, after this year, Matt Miller threw out them as a sneaky watch out. Do they feel like they can move up and acquire Rome Odunze?
That would be terrifying.
Jamar Chase?
That would be terrifying.
Rome Odunze with Joe Burrow?
I mean, those are those kind of moves that you make where you then get him on that cheaper contract for the next 4 years, or at least 3 years.
Oh, yeah.
And it just makes everything else that you're doing that much easier.
Yes.
I would be shocked if that ended up happening, but those kind of moves are the difference. And I think there's a handful of teams that are in that category, man. That's why tonight's so fun. Like, what are the Niners going to do with Aiyuk? What's the move there? Amon-Ra St. Brown got, $77 million guaranteed yesterday?
Yeah, it was 4 over 120, so 30 on average, 77 guaranteed up front. I'm sure the averages change year by year, but, roughly in that kind of ballpark.
And I think they're fairly comparable players, right? Not like you wouldn't label them best wide receiver in the NFL, but clearly really solid players for their team, up and coming. I do too, and I love Aiyuk too. I think Aiyuk's a really underrated, forgotten part of that 49er offense. With Purdy on the rookie deal, they can technically afford it, but it comes down to if you pay him, are you willing to let something else go? Do you like a wide receiver in the draft? Like, that's where tonight to me gets so fun of T. Higgins, Aiyuk, A.J. Brown. How many of these guys get dealt? Yeah. Do they go to competitive teams? Because there's a lot of folks out there, Buffalo being a primary candidate, who is looking for a game-changing wide receiver, whether it be through trade or through the draft tonight.
Well, San Francisco needs help on their offensive line. They need cornerback help. That's why they've been linked with Kool-Aid McKinstry so long, because Ward's going to be an unrestricted free agent. Lenore has had a really good career. I was actually thinking about this yesterday randomly. Mario's two biggest draft players so far in his career, you would probably say Kayvon and Lenore, right?
Who am I
omitting?
Penei Sewell.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
And Javon Holland.
Okay, you're right.
They both sat out the COVID year.
Okay.
And that sucked because the Oregon fan only got a go. Penei really only played 1 year at Oregon.
But Penei has been a stud, and he just got rewarded for it. He has the second, is it lowest, highest? I forget how you look at it, but he's got the second best in terms of sack percentage in the NFL. He's been an absolute monster for them, a unit at right tackle.
He epitomizes what Detroit and Dan Campbell want to do.
Yes, Man Campbell's gotten his man, and they locked him up yesterday. Javon has been an absolute beast in Miami, so I can't believe I just overlooked those two. Kayvon's been, I think, mostly up, but he's had some weeks where it's like coming and going. And Lenore, I think, has been awesome for San Francisco. So,
really good under-the-radar player.
Does San Francisco feel like they need to move up for offensive line and secondary help? We'll kind of have to wait and see. But again, the back end of that draft is so underrated that all of these good teams to great teams tend to nail down their picks, which is why they find themselves in the positions they're in. Aiyuk is interesting. All of the metrics, the analytics just talk about the separation he has in his route running, and everything about him screams pay him. And he's probably only going to get better because he's got age, he's got wisdom, he understands it. But man, that's such a large number. And if you're signing him, are you moving Debo? That doesn't save him a whole lot in cap space, but like these are the hard decisions guys like John Lynch have to make.
Who's more valuable to their offense?
Well,
that's
Debo
an impossible
gets hurt,
question.
though, but that's the problem is Debo gets hurt. Aiyuk is there. I've had debates with Niner fans in my life about if Aiyuk is a 1. Is he a 1? A lot of people think he's a 1. Some people are like, like that Super Bowl. Did he do enough in the Super Bowl? It's tough. These are the decisions that I'm glad I don't have to make.
Yes.
Because you draft these guys, and then it's like, who are you paying? Are the guys you drafted? They're all performing. Do you get rid of Debo?
Yeah.
Man, that seems like it'd be crazy to a lot of people, but he's been injury prone. I don't know what they're going to do. The history of them says they'll end up paying him.
It does. They have a good track record of that. I mean, they have dealt with a couple guys like Armstead and Buckner, or not Armstead. I think he finally
They paid Armstead, but they finally moved off of him.
Buckner was the name I was trying to say. Yeah. And that was one where there was a similar problem, right? Like, how many guys on the defensive line can you pay? Yep. Wait, let's get another draft. And they ended up drafting Hargrave with that pick. And it was the thought of, we don't want to give him the money. Let's get a guy on a cheap rookie contract. And that's where I think the Aiyuk smoke is do they make that deal and then go make a play for a wide receiver in the draft to fill that void with a guy who's not going to be requiring $35 million a year?
Well, and Richardson's coming back, and just keep this in mind. The NBA works on this business a lot more, I think, than the NFL does, but sometimes who you do business with matters. They sent Buckner to Indy.
They did. Indy could use another one. I mean, I know they just paid Pittman, but
they could use an Aiyuk, though. If you're going to help Richardson develop and not be as dangerously mobile, Pittman, good player. Having an Aiyuk on the other side, not a bad decision. I'm not saying that's where it's going. It could be Jacksonville. It could be Indy, maybe Buffalo to replace Diggs. But, whether they sign him or move him, it's one of the 100 of fascinating things that potentially could be happening tonight.
Yeah. I got a couple more draft nuggets, and some listeners are sending some stuff in. Vancouver Ford text line, by the way, 503-864-6326. I'm going to get to them at the bottom of the hour, and some takes on the quarterbacks and thoughts on Penix and the local guys that are starting to come in. We'll highlight some of the other names that you should just keep an eye on that will get their names likely called tonight from the Northwest schools. There's a trio of offensive linemen from Oregon State, Oregon, and Washington who could hear their name called tonight. So there's a lot of local interest. I want to just take a brief timeout, brief pause, brief break in the action, and sneak in a little NBA playoff conversation, if that's okay. You don't want to do it. You don't even want to talk NBA?
No,
I know you do. I know you do. Schulte, what do you think? Is it worthy? Or do we just keep rolling with NFL draft?
I can't tell.
LeBron tonight, I feel like that is worthy, especially after
could go down 0-3. Embiid saying they're going to come back.
Anthony Davis slamming down the mud. He made a shot. Play defense, you jerk. Admit you didn't play defense and shave your unibrow. Yeah, let's talk NBA playoffs.
Wow. Now we're just taking physical attacks.
Now I'm kind of excited.
Okay.
I'm
all in.
Now I'm kind of excited.
I'm all in.